The first thing I remember is the sound of a champagne cork echoing across an empty room. It should have been followed by laughter, applause, people clinking glasses, but it wasn't. Just silence. Thick, heavy silence that made the lights above me buzz louder than my own thoughts. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I stood there in my engagement dress, clutching a glass I hadn't even taken a sip from. Gold balloons floated lazily near the ceiling. The banner behind me read, "Congratulations Olivia and Ryan," in glittering script. Everything looked perfect, except for one thing. No one came. Not my parents. Not my sister. Not even my maid of honor, who'd helped me pick out the table decor 2 weeks ago. The servers were whispering in the corner, unsure whether to start serving or not. Ryan, my fiancé, kept glancing at the door every 30 seconds. "Maybe traffic," he offered weakly. "Yeah," I said, forcing a laugh. "LA traffic, right?" But the pit in my stomach said otherwise. My phone buzzed. I snatched it up, thinking maybe someone texted to say they were on the way. Instead, I saw a notification from Instagram. I opened it, and my chest went cold. It was a live story. My sister, Hannah, stood in the middle of a pink and blue backyard explosion, holding a cake knife. Blue confetti filled the air as everyone screamed, "It's a boy." The camera panned to my parents, both beaming, clapping, and hugging relatives. My mom even yelled, "You'll be the best mom, Hannah." Ryan saw my face drain of color. "Liv, what is it?" I turned the screen toward him. There at her gender reveal. He blinked, disbelief in his voice. All of them. Every single one. I sat down slowly, the chair creaking beneath me. My throat tightened, but I didn't cry. Not this time. I'd been here before, forgotten birthdays, missed milestones, family dinners where Hannah's achievements filled every conversation while mine barely made the small talk. But tonight hurt differently. It was supposed to be mine. Ryan knelt beside me. "You want to cancel? We can reschedule." I cut him off softly.
"No.
Let's eat. Just us. Maybe that's enough." He nodded, though his eyes were heavy with guilt for a crime that wasn't his. We ate alone in that decorated hall, the candles flickering like they were embarrassed to be lit. I laughed once, an empty, hollow laugh that didn't sound like me. When we left, the valet handed me my keys, and for a moment, I just stared at the steering wheel. My phone buzzed again. Grandpa's name flashed on screen. A text. "Couldn't make it tonight, sweetheart. But I sent you something. It's waiting at your doorstep." I managed a small smile. Grandpa never forgot me, even when the rest of them did. When we pulled up to my apartment, a small black box sat neatly in front of my door, tied with a gold ribbon. Grandpa's handwriting was scrawled across the tag, "For Olivia. Open when you're alone." Ryan helped me carry it inside. "You want me to stay?" he asked. I shook my head. "I'll be okay." After he left, I set the box on my kitchen counter and just stared at it for a while. My heart was still raw, my hands still trembling. I reached for the ribbon, slowly, carefully, when my phone suddenly lit up again. It buzzed once, then twice, then again and again until it rattled against the counter. 72 missed calls. All from family. My pulse spiked. I froze mid-motion, the ribbon still in my hand. And then, one new call appeared, Mom calling. I hesitated. Something deep inside me whispered, "Don't answer." Because somehow I already knew something had happened. I didn't answer the call. I just watched the screen flash her name over and over until it went dark again. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then silence. For a few seconds, it was just me, that black box, and the echo of a night that had already fallen apart. Finally, I took a deep breath, untied the ribbon, and lifted the lid. Inside was a thick white envelope, sealed with wax and stamped with Grandpa's initials. Under it, wrapped carefully in tissue paper, was a small metal key attached to a tag that read, "For your new beginning." My throat tightened. Grandpa wasn't a man of many words, but when he wrote something, it meant something. I tore open the envelope. His handwriting spilled across the page, steady and familiar. My dear Olivia, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't make it to your engagement party, and I'm sorry for that. But I know what tonight turned into, and I need you to understand something that your parents and Hannah never will. You were never second best. The key you're holding unlocks something that has always belonged to you. Check the address written below. Go there tomorrow morning. Don't tell anyone. You'll understand when you get there. Love, Grandpa. I stared at the note, my mind racing. Underneath his signature was a scribbled address in Pacific Palisades, an expensive coastal area miles away from where I lived. Grandpa wasn't exactly poor, but he wasn't mansion-rich either. So, what could possibly be waiting for me there? Before I could think further, my phone buzzed again. I sighed and turned it over. More calls. 53 new missed ones since the last count. My lock screen looked like a warning light. Finally, a text popped up from Mom. Olivia, answer the phone now. It's about Dad. It's serious. My stomach dropped. My first instinct was panic, but then anger flared right after. They'd ignored me the whole night, and now suddenly it was urgent. Now they needed me? Still, I couldn't ignore the knot tightening in my chest. I hit call. Mom picked up before the first ring ended. Her voice was shaky, slurred with panic. Liv, thank God. Listen, there's been an accident. Your sister's party, it went wrong. The fireworks caught the patio. Everyone's fine, but your dad, he collapsed. We're at County General. Come quick. I froze. Collapsed? You mean like fainted? No, she whispered. They said it might have been his heart. My pulse quickened. The words barely processed. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I grabbed my keys and bolted for the door, but as I reached the handle, something stopped me. The note. Grandpa's handwriting. The key. The words, go there tomorrow. Don't tell anyone. I looked between the two, the past and the present, then shoved the key in my purse and drove straight to the hospital. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and cheap coffee. I spotted my mother pacing near the nurse's desk, her face pale, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Hannah sat beside her, crying into a pink baby blanket. When Mom saw me, her expression flickered, relief mixed with guilt. You came. I crossed my arms. Of course I came. He's still my father. Her eyes softened, but she didn't say sorry. Not for tonight, not for ignoring me, not for any of it. The nurse came out moments later. Mr. Miller is stable, she said. He had a mild heart attack, but he's resting. We all exhaled at once. Hannah burst into fresh tears, and Mom hugged her tight. Nobody looked at me. I stood there, invisible again, watching their little world spin without me at the center. After a while, Hannah sniffled and said, Mom, maybe this is a sign we need to slow down. I shouldn't have done the reveal tonight. Mom rubbed her arm. Sweetheart, don't blame yourself. How could you have known? I almost laughed out loud. How could she have known? Maybe by remembering she'd already agreed to come to her sister's engagement? But of course, none of them mentioned that. Not even once. I turned and walked toward the hallway window, needing air. Outside, the city lights flickered across the parking lot. My reflection stared back at me in the glass. Same woman, different soul. That's when I made a silent promise to myself. This is the last time they'll ever treat me like background noise. I wasn't sure what Grandpa meant by new beginning, but I had a feeling that Q was part of it. The next morning, I drove to the address from the letter. Pacific Palisades looked like a movie set. White fences, palm trees, the ocean glittering in the distance. My GPS announced the destination, and when I parked, I froze. It wasn't just a house. It was a property. A sprawling cliffside estate with a wrought iron gate and the name, Meriton Residence, engraved in stone. I stepped out of the car, heart pounding, and slid the key into the gate's lock. It clicked open. Inside, the driveway wound up toward a massive two-story home overlooking the ocean. Every window shimmered with morning sunlight. I felt dizzy. On the porch, a letter was taped to the door. Grandpa's handwriting again. Welcome home, Olivia. This is yours, not theirs. I pressed a hand to my mouth, overwhelmed. Tears blurred my vision. Grandpa hadn't just believed in me. He'd prepared for this day. The phone buzzed again. Mom calling. I ignored it, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't running toward them. I was walking away. And I knew, deep down, that this wasn't just the beginning of something new. It was the start of their reckoning. The ocean breeze whipped through my hair as I stood on the terrace of the house that now, somehow, belonged to me. The air smelled like salt and jasmine, the kind of scent that made memory surface. I could almost hear Grandpa's low laugh, the way he used to say, "One day, Liv, you'll see who people truly are when there's something to lose." Now I understood. The key wasn't just a gift. It was a message. A quiet declaration of trust from the only man who had ever seen my worth without comparing me to someone else. I wandered through the rooms in disbelief. Every inch of the house carried a piece of him. Old family photos on the shelves, his chessboard set up on the sun porch, the faint smell of cedar and pipe tobacco. But something new stood out too, a file folder sitting on the dining table with my name on it. I opened it. Inside was a legal document, thick with signatures and stamps. The first line made my knees weak. Property transfer agreement, sole ownership, Olivia Grace Miller. And below that, in neat type, effective immediately upon my passing, all assets tied to the Meriton estate are to be transferred to my granddaughter, Olivia G. Miller. No contest permitted. My throat went dry. Grandpa hadn't just given me a house. He'd given me everything. I sat down hard in one of the leather chairs, still gripping the file when my phone buzzed again, Mom's name flashing. This time, I answered. Olivia. Her voice was sharp, frantic. Where have you been? We've been calling all morning. I was out, I said flatly. Out? We just left the hospital. Your grandfather, he passed away early this morning. The doctors said it was peaceful. The words hit like a punch to the chest. My voice broke. What? Mom sighed, her tone shifting, more irritated than heartbroken. We just got the call from his lawyer too. There's a will reading tomorrow at his attorney's office. Make sure you're there. This isn't the time for drama. For a second, I couldn't speak. My chest tightened, not just with grief, but realization. Grandpa knew. He must have arranged all this before his heart gave out. I'll be there, I said quietly. Then I hung up before she could say another word. The next day, the family gathered at Meriton and Hall law offices downtown. I arrived last, wearing a simple black dress and carrying the key in my purse. The room was full, Mom and Dad sitting together, Hannah clutching her husband's arm, a few distant relatives whispering as I walked in. Hannah turned, fake smiling. Well, look who decided to show up. You must be exhausted from all your alone time last night. I met her gaze calmly. You mean the night of my engagement party? Yeah, it was quiet. Unlike your fireworks. She flinched and for once didn't reply. The lawyer, Mr. Adler, cleared his throat. If everyone could settle down, we'll begin. He opened a folder identical to the one I'd found in the house. Your grandfather, Mr. William Meriton, left a very detailed will. I'll read the key sections aloud. He began listing smaller inheritances, donations to charity, gifts to old friends. Then he paused. Now, as for the primary heir to the Meriton estate and financial holdings. Every eye in the room turned toward Hannah. She adjusted her blouse, smiling sweetly at our parents. Mr. Adler continued. All real estate assets, business shares, and trust funds are to be transferred entirely to my granddaughter, Olivia Grace Miller. The air went still. Hannah's smile froze. Mom blinked, confused. Dad leaned forward, frowning. What? Hannah stammered. That can't be right. Grandpa told me, he said. Mr. Adler raised a hand. It's all signed, sealed, and legally filed. No contest allowed. He was very specific about that. Mom looked at me, voice rising. Olivia, what is this? Did you manipulate him somehow? I shook my head slowly. I didn't even know until last night. Hannah shot up from her chair. This is insane. He always said he'd keep things fair. Mr. Adler flipped to the last page of the document. He left a letter addressed to all of you. Shall I read it? The room fell silent. To my family, if you're hearing this, I'm already gone. I've lived long enough to see how you've treated Olivia, how her kindness was mistaken for weakness, how her efforts were overshadowed by noise. You celebrated everything but her. I've made my choice not to punish you, but to remind you, character weighs more than charm. This house, this fortune, this legacy, it belongs to the one person who never expected it. Olivia. Treat her with respect, or don't come near her door. When the lawyer folded the paper, nobody spoke for several seconds. Then Hannah scoffed. So, what? We're just supposed to bow down to her now. I stood, my voice calm but steady. No, Hannah. You don't have to bow. Just stop pretending you didn't know what you did. Mom looked away, shame flickering across her face. Dad said nothing. I gathered my bag and turned toward the door. Grandpa made sure I'd never have to beg for a seat at this table again. You all made your choice that night. Now I'm making mine. As I left, I caught a glimpse of Hannah's reflection in the glass door, her jaw tight, eyes burning. She wasn't just angry. She was terrified, because for the first time, she realized the balance had shifted. When I drove back to the estate that evening, the sun was setting over the Pacific, bathing the house in golden light. I parked, stepped out, and looked toward the ocean. For the first time in years, I felt peace. The kind that doesn't come from revenge or money, just from finally being seen. Still, I couldn't help whispering softly into the wind. You were right, Grandpa. They showed me who they really are. And this time, the silence around me didn't sting. It felt like victory. A week later, the same family who'd once ignored me couldn't stop calling. Missed calls, texts. Even Hannah left voice notes that began with fake tears and ended with entitlement. Liv, this isn't fair. You can't just keep everything. Grandpa wouldn't have wanted us divided like this. Mom and Dad are devastated. You should talk to them. You owe us a conversation. Owe them? The same people who couldn't spare one night for my engagement party? I let every message pile up. Not out of spite, but because for once, I didn't need their voices to feel valid. The lawyers finalized the transfer that Friday. Meriton Estate, now officially mine. The house, the bank holdings, and the company's shares Grandpa had built from scratch decades ago. It was overwhelming, yes, but it also felt like justice finally balancing itself. That evening, I hosted a small dinner at the estate. Just me, Ryan, and a few people who had actually shown up for me when I had nothing, my best friend Elise, my old mentor from the cafe, where I'd worked part-time, and even Jake, the waiter from that lonely engagement night. The ones who saw me when my own family didn't. The long dining table glowed under soft golden light. Laughter filled the space that had once been heavy with grief. I realized I didn't need the people who ignored me to make this house feel like home. It already was one. But halfway through dessert, I saw a set of headlights pull up through the gate. Ryan glanced out the window. Looks like we have company. I didn't need to ask who it was. Seconds later, Mom, Dad, and Hannah appeared in the doorway, dressed like they'd come straight from a family intervention. Mom tried to smile. Olivia, we just wanted to talk. Ryan stood, ready to step in, but I lifted my hand. It's fine. I faced them calmly. You've had a week to talk. What changed? Dad cleared his throat. Honey, this isn't about money. It's about family. That house, it's too much for you to manage alone. You need help. I let out a soft, dry laugh. Help? You mean control? Mom's lips tightened. You're being ungrateful. We're your parents. Something inside me, something long suppressed, finally broke free. My voice didn't rise, it sharpened. Ungrateful? For what? Being left alone on the biggest night of my life while you all clapped for confetti? Grandpa gave me this because he saw what you never did. I didn't ask for it, but I earned it. Hannah stepped forward, eyes glossy. Liv, please, it's not fair. I have a baby on the way. Don't do this to us. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel small beside her. I didn't feel like her shadow. You did this to yourself, I said quietly. You all did. Grandpa tried to show you what mattered, but you were too busy competing for attention to notice who really loved you back. The room went silent. Even the ocean outside seemed to pause. Dad opened his mouth, but no words came. Mom looked down. Hannah wiped her face, muttering something under her breath before storming out. I didn't stop her. Ryan came beside me, wrapping a steady arm around my waist. You okay? I nodded. Yeah. For the first time, I am. Mom lingered a moment longer. Olivia, please don't shut us out forever. I looked at her gently, not cruelly. I'm not shutting you out. I'm just done waiting for you to open the door. And with that, I turned away. As they left, the sound of the gate closing behind them was the softest, most peaceful sound I'd ever heard. I walked back to the terrace, where the ocean glowed silver under the moon. My reflection shimmered in the glass doors, a woman standing on her own, not broken, not bitter, free. Thank you, Grandpa, I whispered. Behind me, laughter drifted again from the dinner table. Real laughter this time. The kind that comes when the right people finally stay.